Hello and welcome to Youngstown Playlist, a show dedicated to highlighting local musicians right here in Youngstown, Ohio. Music is just what the doctor ordered, and in this particular instance, the doctors are actually in the band too. Check out the throwback sound of Spy Convention.
Close your eyes and you will see. There's a light that shines inside of me. Every time you're in the room, and if push would come to shove, I would say this can't be love. I can feel this way so soon. You're pulling me so close. I'm losing all circles turning all around you. Arcs of color make me stay. I can't explain the way you move with your midnight hair and your satin blue. I'm breathing in your air. I'm falling, 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 falling. Here you stand before me. Everything you are is everything for me. You're the star on my horizon. Here I stand before you. Let me capture stars for you. Let me be the light in your eyes. I'm falling, 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 falling. Circles turning all around you. Falling, stars are falling all around you. Circles turning all around you. Falling, stars are falling all around you. Circles turning all around you. Falling, stars are falling all around you. Circles is turning all around you. Falling, stars are falling on you. Falling, falling on you. Falling on you.
One of the most interesting aspects about Spy Convention to me is that it's, you know, doctors in a band. That's just very appealing. I hear that and I'm like, I got to check these guys out. So talk about, you know, why now that you decided to form this, make Spy Convention, record an album, and start performing with this act.
Actually, there was no why. It was kind of it was accidental that the two of us met. It was we both have young children, and they happened to go to school together. And we met that way, accidentally. So up until then, I didn't really have any grand desire. I mean, I always told people, like, I like the job that I do. It's like my third favorite thing I could do. Like, I would be a rock star or professional athlete or an ophthalmologist. So that was like third on the list. Wow. I was doing number 3 of my dream job. Backwards. So, you know, at this age, professional athlete's probably not going to happen. No. So now I'm gonna shoot for rock star now.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, he came over, like I said, I keep telling this story, and he starts playing on my guitar, and I was like, that's really good. And I was like, oh, you just play? And I'm like, hey, I got a studio. I just happen to have a studio in my basement. I could record and things like that. And he's like, oh, really? I actually have a song. And we recorded that song, and he came back and said he had a bunch of other songs, and which was weird because he was probably sitting on these things for years. Yeah. You know, it was a booklet, you know, like those little spiral booklets you get in like grade school, you know, and it's just filled with songs. I'm like, interesting. So let's just write a couple songs. 2 turned to 4, turned to 10, made the CD, and we didn't expect anything on the CD. We're like, why don't we just make a CD? It's purely for sort of a vanity, like sort of a thing, like, we'll have a CD. And then we're like, oh, since we have it, why don't we just send it out and see what happens? You know, it was like these weird, like, we didn't know what to do until we got there. Once we had the CD in our hand, we're like, oh, okay, let's just figure out what to do there.
Yeah, there was never a plan.
Never a plan.
It was just like, okay, what's the next, like, all right, what do we do now?
What do we do
now?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. And my history is I've already done this before in other bands, New York City, the whole thing, and I was like, I didn't want to really do it anymore because I saw the trend of music going away from, you know, independent acts. I saw this conglomeration sort of form before my eyes with the radio stations and Live Nation and like all these huge corporations sort of like homogenizing like the way that you consume music. And I said to myself, like, that's kind of interesting. I'm not really down for that because there's nothing in it, there's nothing interesting for it anymore. There's no independence in it. It was almost like you didn't see any independent acts anymore. And I was like, why bother doing music? That's what I told them when I first met them. So, I mean, did you guys think the same thing?
That's what you've been saying ever since, too.
I really have, I mean, in a way. But
Every set, what's the point of this? 1, 2, 3, 4.
It'll help you get in the mood.
that's probably the best way to put it.
In general. Yeah.
We find our headspace that way.
Yeah. Why even bother?
Yeah.
No, you said it perfectly. Like, you know, why bother doing it 1, 2, 3, 4? I love that because if you don't do it, I know what to do. I know how to get from point A to point B. We've done it in our businesses. We all have businesses. You know how to get from point A to B. This is just another business, so we have to do these steps. And if no one does it, luckily, you know, we like to work very hard, and we'll get to where we need to get if that's what you want to do. granted, it wasn't what we wanted to do, but you know what? We talked about it and we're like, let's try it. Why not? And we're trying it. And you're helping us
Exactly,
out.
exactly. I'm an enabler.
Right.
Talk about writing lyrics. What's going through your head as you're coming up with a song?
I'm not a craftsman, so I don't like say, I cannot say I'm going to sit down and write a song about this
Sure.
now and then write something and figure it out. It doesn't happen that way for me. So these are like sort of weird moments of inspiration where these sort of different ideas come or these sort of images come and then I sort of play with words. And I find when it comes quickly, those are the songs that's what ends up being the stuff that I like and that I end up pursuing and then end up like, trying to finish. So like Waking from a Dream started as a little riff on the guitar.
Totally different. It was totally different.
No.
Oh,
No, that's Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah.
Waking from a Dream started with a little riff on the like that opening riff with the chords. And then like one night this happened a few times for this album. Like I'm about to fall asleep, and like a line comes into my head. And so it's like 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
3:30 in the morning, and I start like typing, and I just start like typing the stuff into my phone. And literally, like Waking from a Dream, like took 10 or 15 minutes to write, which to me, to me it seems like it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't come that quickly. Like,
No, but those are strong emotions. That's
but I mean that one, didn't. It wasn't.
lie. No.
Yeah. This is your chance.
Lie. It came in 3 minutes.
It wasn't autobiographical. Like it wasn't anything within me. Like those were just like sort of random.
That's what I mean, a universal sort of, yeah. What I like about it, what I really like about it is that I love to put my influences to this type of music. I grew up listening to what me and Mike kind of grew up to, listening, it was like sort of metalish rock. I grew up listening to Rush, and when you play that type of way, it may not lend itself to, like The Cure, or like Echo and the Bunnymen or whatever. But if I put those drums to it, it might make it a new thing. So I took all my influences or whatever, like 10 or 15 of them, try to figure out a way to play the drums to this, but a little heavier, that you wouldn't necessarily hear in a Cure song. You would hear like almost like rock drums, but with like the National or somebody behind that. That's I don't think that's ever been done, but it was natural for me to do it. I didn't want to play any other way. Very bombastic, big drums, and it sort of fit pretty neatly. I kind of enjoy that, yeah.
What do you have to say about people who are pursuing music, but they might be, at this level?
I started a nonprofit. I don't know if I told you about this. Yeah, I told these guys about it, and what we talk about is like people think music is your plan A. We're like, no, that's the opposite of, literally the opposite of what you should be. Plan B is your music. Plan A is your career. Whether it is teaching music, that's a career, or whatever, like being a doctor, or you own your own business, that kind of thing. And what we want to do is let people have fun in this, and not like sort of forsake me. Like they start resenting music after a certain while once they try to make music or money, or try to create a livelihood or career in music. I mean, then they start hating it. That's the worst thing that could happen to a person with creativity and the love of music and stuff like that. It's just a horrible thing. So we did this as a program. We toured the country, and we talked to students, at college level students. We try to tell them, get that degree. Your parents are killing themselves to bring you to these schools. Get the degree, work. There's plenty look, we're 47, 48 years old. I mean, like,
You didn't have to say that.
yeah, what is that? That was an example. That was just an example. You could be 47.
Did that really help the story?
It helped a little bit. What I would tell somebody today is music is very, very, very difficult to create a career in. I mean, he teaches as a performer. If you teach, that's a different thing. If you get your degree as an MFA or a BFA or something like that, or you get a music degree in something else, and you literally become a teacher, yeah, that's fine. You create your business because you're your own boss. You can create your own clients, and that's lovely. But as a performer, as a band, I would honestly, if you didn't have anything else going on, very, very difficult. I mean, you have to have something else, because this should be your outlet. Ed, you're in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your job. You know, and is there a way to tell someone, like,
Drop your wisdom, man. Yeah. Drop your wisdom.
is there a way to tell somebody to go into music nowadays, or I mean, would you?
Practice.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, it's in go to the place where music's being played and where you can create with people that you're comfortable with and you enjoy being around. You know, obviously practice has to go into it. You have to be good at your craft. You also have to like be ready to like go to work. You know, like that's why like with Nathaniel and I were talking about like music for a lot of the time is playing a gig because you have to. You know, and it's nice to not have to do this with that, but. I don't know. It's hard. It's
This is
not
your
getting
livelihood.
easier. Yeah.
That's your career.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, it's not all just performing. It's teaching. and
Teaching as well, yeah.
Doing all kinds of things. And that's the other thing though, is being diverse. You know, being diverse. If you really want to do music, like figure out a bunch of different things with music that you can be a part of. You know, that's true.
That's our show. I want to thank Spy Convention for talking to us and playing for us. Huge thanks to Suzie's Dogs and Drafts downtown location as always, and thank you for watching. Thank you for making season 3 another successful run of episodes for Youngstown Playlist. We love talking to these musicians and sharing them with you, so it's your continued support of the show, liking, subscribing, all that fun stuff that really keeps the show going. So we really want to thank you again for that. See you next time.
I mean, cross-pollination is good because is it cool to play with other people? I mean, I don't know. Are you cheating on your girl? I don't know. I mean, are you? I don't know. I don't
think so. I
Like-
think if you,
Hey, bees are essential for
Pollinating.
pollinating lots of important things. So, you know, just think of it that way.
That's a great analogy.
That is a good analogy. I didn't think of that.
I think it would be only cheating if like you wrote a song and you don't bring it to like your initial band. You're like, guys, and then they find out, and then they're like,
That's
I'm-
weird.
like just like you bring them all, and you're like, I'm writing for another band.
Jim, you've done
That-
this before. Have you done this?
No. I'm just saying, if I hypothetically, if that happened,